to a very busy first hour of Jonny Gould featuring Ash. We've talked Brussels, and now we're going to talk about other things. Because life goes on in this country, and people who were part of big news yesterday were sent away today, and I don't think that's the right thing to have done. Obviously, Brussels is the big focus today, but what about the plight of millions of people who fell short in the disability cuts that were made in the budget? And there was a U-turn today. David Cameron, the Prime Minister, has been forced to concede that a £4.4 billion black hole created by the U-turn over disability benefits won't be filled by further cuts to welfare. They're going to have to find this £4 billion quid. Stephen Crabb, who's the new Ian Duncan Smith, made the announcement. He's absolutely clear, is Stephen Crabb, that a compassionate and fair welfare system shouldn't be just about the numbers. Behind every statistic, he says, there is a human being, and perhaps sometimes in government we forget that. Now, God dear, I mean, if there's one business that should be the number one people business, it's a government. And I've got to say, he said more there, which is revealing, than I could have ever imagined. I'm going to read that again. Behind every stat, there's a human being, and perhaps sometimes in government we forget that. So they're just looking at Excel sheets and they make huge macroeconomic decisions and forget the people they're affecting. What kind of people are they that they should ever forget that? Let's talk to someone whose daughter was affected by this and is now apparently non-affected by this. It's Greg Scott. Greg, a very good evening to you.
Hi, Johnny.
Thank you for coming on the show. Now, your daughter Lydia is disabled. She looked on in horror, as probably you did, at the cuts that were coming in the budget, and as soon as the number crunchers had told you the impact, I spoke to Lydia a little bit earlier, and she told me the impact would have been that she couldn't resume or start an adult life that she was hoping for. She is a teenager about to embark on, shall we say, an adult life, and the cutbacks that she would have had to have suffered would have meant that she would have had to have stayed home with you, while other friends with able bodies could go out and start living their lives. Apparently, Greg, that is not going to happen now.
The thing is, Johnny, that the cuts that were being mooted wouldn't actually have affected Lydia. But, and I come straight in with a but here, the help that she is getting, and I put help in inverted commas, very big ones, is not enough. Not for her condition. And you just mentioned about it's facts and figures, it's all on spreadsheets. There's no looking at individual cases. There are some big problems here with the whole disability thing as far as the government's concerned. And that is that when Lydia went for her big assessment, she's had to appeal 3 times over 24 months to get anything. But when she first went for an assessment, she saw somebody who had never seen her before. She just had to go and see this person. They said, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, you can do it a little bit. Maybe she was on a better day than she has some days. I don't know. But why don't they ask GPs who see people who are needing these benefits? Why don't they ask GPs for the records of these people who need help? Why don't they ask the GPs, what are these people like? Not judging them over a 15-minute weighing up session where there's no history, there's no nothing. It's just a cold, calculated, oh, right, okay, fine, and on you go. And then inevitably you're turned down on the first occasion. So you think, oh, I'm not good. Some people will think, oh, I'm not going to get it. They don't bother, and they'll just, whatever happens to them, and the government don't care. You'll get some people who will go, well, no, I'm not having that. They'll appeal again. They'll get turned down again, and they will fall by the wayside. It's only the most determined who will not give up, who get to that third appeal, that there's a chance of getting something. And in Lydia's case, that's what she did. She's still not getting enough help. I don't know if you alluded a few moments ago to maybe I have 4.4 billion in the bank. That's nonsense, Jonny Gould.
I don't you? It's just it's the Billy Big Time way that you talk, you see, that made me think.
Billy big time. We call that before, many other things, but not that. But no, the thing is, I can't afford to support Lydia.
No.
And, not with all the things that she needs. She'd like a car to get out and about. And I think I said to you earlier off the air that we've got to say the difference between what people want and what people need. And I can only talk for Lydia. These aren't things that she wants. She needs things like a car. She needs things things like the insurance for the car and the petrol for the car and stuff to give her some semblance of normality in her life, because as things are, she just sits at home and that's it. She's had to give up college twice. She's had to give up, therefore, her plans for university. She's had to, therefore, give up her career plans that she had from a very early age. All that's gone now as her illnesses have got worse. And we just don't know what to do. And
there's a cruelty, isn't there? There's a cruelty in this, Greg, because Lydia, and I've spoken to her as well, she's an impressive young lady. She's got a lot about her. There's a lot of fire in her soul. There's a lot of ambition that you can hear in a young person. There's someone about to embark on her life. And from a purely fiscal point of view, because that's something that perhaps the government do look at, she could be a meaningful member of our society. She could have a job with the right qualifications. She just needs that little bit of help. And it is a little bit of help. It's not a fortune. And when we make cutbacks and we force able people to be at home and not live their lives, that is a bad society. That is a society not looking after its less fortunate. And I really think that what they've done today in U-turning has got to be a good thing, because there are so many people.
Sorry, Johnny, you say that. We're not going to be jumping up and down. Well, Lydia can't. I'm not going to be jumping up and down about this, because you think, okay, they've U-turned on this, but where is that 4.4 billion going to come from now? Who are they going to hit? Are they going to hit the big companies? Are they going to say, oh, look, you're not going to have your big tax break. We're not going to cut corporation tax for you. No, they're not. So where is that 4.4 billion now going to come from? It's going to, I guarantee it's going to hit the less well-off in society. Somewhere it's going to happen. And you know what? There's one question that I would love to ask each and every MP, not necessarily just from the Conservative Party, but there's one question I'd love to ask. What is the purpose of a government? In other words, is a government judged on its success when it comes to big business and the way that the country looks internationally? Or is a government based on judged a success by looking after the people that need looking after? Because to me, it's completely the wrong end of the scale at the moment. There is no... There's talk of compassionate conservatism. We can't have this wrong. I mean, I've got some facts and figures here that I've found out. Ian Duncan Smith, and this is something I found on Twitter, Ian Duncan Smith and his moral awakening. ESA, this is what he oversaw. ESA cuts for disabled people, terminally ill people being told that they're fit to work, targets to sanction the poor, heroes who have served abroad, and heroes who have served as soldiers coming back home and being virtually ignored. Public money used for him to take rape victims and the disabled to the High Court over the bedroom tax. Food bank use increasing to over 1 million in 6 Tory years. And suddenly, all these things he's overseen, suddenly he develops a conscience? Hello?
I'm No. Listen, it's you are the dad of someone who is deeply affected by this ongoing struggle.
Yeah.
The thing about this government is that they are a very lucky government in the sense that they don't actually have to address our national debt in quite the same way as previous generations of governments, because we live in a low interest rate economy, which means that money is virtually free, which means they can rock on and saddle us with huge debt, and there's not a massive impact in 2016. It's when the interest rates go up again that the next generation will suffer. And it's at this point that George Osborne now really needs to fix the hole while the sun is shining. Otherwise, our children and our children's children will be paying off the debts of this particular generation. Is that not an argument? I know that money compared to people's lives is not important, but for a government who has to be involved in the wallet, in the national wallet, shall we say, is that not something that you understand Osborne had to do, because the last Labour government simply didn't? They spent everything and bankrupted us.
I'd say two things to that. Number one, the analogy is rubbish. Because why do you want to repair a hole in a roof if the sun is shining? Surely you leave the hole there and let the sun shine in. If it's raining,
it might rain in 3 years' time. I suppose that's the analogy.
Well, I'll fix it in 3 years' time. Sorry, I'm taking it too literally. Yeah. That's it. We're talking on a weather basis there. Do you know, there are people who need help now. This is the thing. We're talking about, oh, well, what about in 3 years' time if this, that, and the other? No, people need help now, and they're not getting it. There are people who are desperate. There are people, it is so well documented that they're killing themselves. There are people who are that desperate, they are taking their own lives, and they are desperate because of the measures that are implemented by politicians. And now is the time when there should be action taken. Now is the time to say to the big... Look, Johnny, I appreciate that companies need looking after. I appreciate that without business working well, we're all in trouble. Mm-hmm. But it's a matter of balancing the books. It's a matter of balance, and it's a matter of fairness. Mm-hmm. There is no fairness. It's all at the top end of the scale. There is nothing for the underprivileged. And to me, it's simply wrong. And I'll go back to that question. I would love to be in that position, and hopefully you'll be talking to some MPs over the course of the coming weeks. Just ask them that question. What makes a government? What makes a government a success?
Yes.
And is, you know, does big successes in the financial markets, does that completely and utterly override morality? Because that's what it seems like to me at the moment. People, not money, is the point of Greg Scott tonight. What is a government about? Thank you very much, Greg. Let's ask people who are listening, what is government about? Is it about a successful balance sheet, or is it about the people that elected them? 0844 499 1000. Greg, thank you so much for joining us tonight and talking so passionately about Lydia. We wish her and you all the very best, the whole family too. And thank you for coming on, Greg. Much obliged to you. Gosh, that was heavy stuff, and I really feel for Greg, for Lydia, for Karen, for his whole family, and we wish them well in the future. This is Talk Radio. If you want to join in the debate, is Greg's question the right one? Is a government about the money, about the balance sheet, or is it about the people? 0844 499 1000. The call will cost you 7 pence per minute plus your provider's access charge. It's Jonny Gould featuring Ash, and this is Talk Radio.